My husband kicked me out for a richer woman, but... The timer chimed as I pulled the garlic bread from the oven. Perfect golden brown, just how Robert liked it. I smoothed the tablecloth one last time, straightening the wedding china we only used for special occasions. 10 years of marriage deserved a proper celebration. Checking my watch, my stomach tightened. 8:30 p.m. and still no Robert. I sent my 4th unanswered text. Dinner's getting cold. Are you okay? The steaks were losing their warmth, the mushroom sauce congealing. I'd spent our last $200 on this anniversary dinner, saving tips from extra shifts at Henderson's department store. Money was always tight while Robert finished his medical residency, but I never complained. Your sacrifice now means our success later, he always said. I believed him with all my heart. When the door finally opened at 9:45, relief flooded through me. Robert. I was so worried. He brushed past without looking at me, dropping his coat on the floor. That's when I smelled it. Chanel No. 5. An expensive perfume I sold but couldn't afford to wear. Sorry I'm late, he mumbled, heading straight for the liquor cabinet. I made your favorite dinner, I said, following him. For our anniversary. He poured a large whiskey, downing half before finally meeting my eyes. We need to talk, Eliza. My body went cold. If the food will get cold, can it wait? I already ate. He finished his drink and poured another. There's no easy way to say this. I gripped the back of a dining chair, steadying myself against what was coming. I've met someone. Her name is Camilla. She's different. The candlelight blurred as tears filled my eyes. Different how? She's successful. Her family owns Harrington Pharmaceuticals. He took another gulp. She understands the circles I need to move in now as a doctor. I understand your ambitions. My voice cracked. I've supported them for 10 years. I worked overtime for your medical books. I postponed my own career. And I appreciate that, he said flatly. But Camilla offers connections, opportunities, a lifestyle I deserve now. Deserve. The word stung like vinegar in a cut. What about loyalty? Basic respect. I'm being honest now, aren't I? His voice turned cold, clinical. I want a divorce. Camilla's father bought us a house in Lakeside Hills. Us? How long has this been going on? The pain in my chest was physical, like a fist squeezing my heart. Does it matter? He checked his watch impatiently. Pack your things tonight. I need you out. Out. This is my home too. Tears streamed down my face, blurring the anniversary decorations I'd arranged hours earlier. Actually, it's not. The lease is in my name. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Camilla's waiting. Take what you need and leave the key. The rain pounded against the windows as I frantically stuffed clothes into our largest suitcase, vision blurred by tears. 10 years reduced to whatever would fit in one bag. When I reached for our wedding photo, Robert appeared and snatched it away. Leave that. It's my frame. It's our wedding picture. I reached for it, but he pulled back. The silver frame was a gift from my parents. He removed the photo and tossed it on the bed, keeping the frame. That small cruelty broke something inside me. I grabbed my suitcase and purse, stumbling toward the door. Outside, the downpour had turned the streets into rivers. Where's your car? He asked, standing dry in the doorway. At the mechanic's. You know that. Another expense we couldn't afford while supporting his career. Take an Uber, he said, tossing two $20 bills that landed in a puddle at my feet. I walked into the rain without looking back, hearing our front door lock behind me. Within seconds, I was drenched, mascara streaming down my face, mixing with tears. Behind me, our anniversary dinner sat uneaten, candles still burning. The roadside inn's neon sign flickered in the rain. At $59 a night, it was all I could afford. The room smelled of cigarettes and bleach, with water stains marking the ceiling and a mattress that sagged in the middle. I sat on the scratchy bedspread, dripping onto my shoulders, watching my silent phone. No calls, no texts, no apologies. 10 years of marriage vanished like they meant nothing. Sleep wouldn't come. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Robert's cold expression as he told me about Camilla. By morning, my eyes were swollen and my body ached with a bone-deep exhaustion. Gray light filtered through thin curtains as I checked our joint bank account on my phone. I needed to withdraw my share for an apartment deposit. The screen loaded 0.00 balance. That can't be right, I whispered, refreshing the page. Still zero. The customer service representative's voice was sympathetic but firm. I'm sorry, Mrs. Walker, but your access was removed yesterday afternoon. Mr. Walker transferred all funds to an individual account before closing the joint one. That was my paycheck, too. My voice rose in panic. I deposited it last Friday. I understand your concern, but legally, either account holder can withdraw from a joint account. You'll need to discuss this with Mr. Walker. I hung up, hands trembling. He'd planned this methodically. While I shopped for our anniversary dinner, he was at the bank stealing our savings, checking my wallet, $43 left, not enough for another night, let alone first month's rent somewhere else. A soft knock interrupted my panic. An elderly woman with silver hair stood in the doorway, holding a steaming mug. Thought you might need some tea, honey. These walls are thin, and I heard you crying half the night. She offered a gentle smile. I'm Sarah from 112. Something about her grandmotherly presence crumbled my last defenses. Soon I was pouring out everything between sobs, the betrayal, the stolen money, my uncertain future. I gave up everything for him, I whispered, clutching the warm mug. My career, my scholarship, even the children we planned to have, when the time was right. Sarah patted my hand. And when my Harold left me for his secretary after 30 years, I thought I'd die from the pain, but here I am at 65, still finding joy. How did you survive it? One breath at a time at first, then one day at a time. She squeezed my hand. The pain doesn't disappear overnight, but you grow stronger than it. I twisted off my wedding ring, the small diamond catching the dim light. Once precious, now it felt like a mockery. What am I going to do? I have no home, no money, and a part-time job that barely covers groceries. You have yourself, Sarah said firmly. That's where everyone must start. Later that day, scrolling through job listings, a Facebook notification appeared. Robert had updated his relationship status. There he was, arm around a stunning blonde in designer clothes. The caption, "Sometimes life gives you a second chance at true happiness. Blessed to begin this journey with my soulmate Camila." Dozens of likes and congratulations. Some from people who'd attended our wedding. No one questioning the timing or mentioning me. In a burst of rage, I hurled my phone against the wall. It hit with a crack, screen shattering like my heart. That evening, I couldn't afford another night at the hotel. Sarah found me sitting on a bench outside, suitcase at my feet. "Where to?" she asked, settling beside me. "I don't know," I admitted. "My next paycheck isn't until Friday." She studied me quietly. "My spare bedroom isn't much, but it's yours until you find your footing." "I can't impose like that. We just met." "Sometimes strangers become family when family fails you," she said simply. "Besides, my cat needs company when I'm at my part-time job." Sarah's spare room was small but clean, with faded floral wallpaper and a quilt that smelled of lavender. For the first time since Robert's betrayal, I fell asleep without crying. Morning brought blueberry pancakes and questions about my design scholarship. It was to the American Design Institute, Full tuition. I stared into my coffee. Highest portfolio score in my class. And you gave it up for him? We couldn't both be students. Someone had to pay the bills. I sighed. He promised once he was established, I could go back. Sarah's eyes held wisdom earned through pain. Men promise freely when they need something. The test is if they keep those promises when it costs them. I spent the day applying for jobs, struggling with my cracked phone screen. By evening, I had an interview at Darcy's diner the next morning. That night, I found old photos of Robert and me in my wallet. Our wedding day. First apartment. Vacation at his parents' lake house. Memories of a life that no longer existed. Sarah sat beside me as tears flowed again. You know what helped me? My mother said, tears water the garden of your next life. Feel them, but don't drown in them. 2 weeks at Darcy's diner had taught me the rhythm of waitressing, the morning rush of coffee refills, the lunchtime sandwich orders, the precise balance of carrying multiple plates. The pay wasn't great, but daily cash tips helped me slowly rebuild. I'd moved from Sarah's spare room to a tiny studio in her building. She'd convinced the manager to waive my security deposit. My shattered phone was replaced by the cheapest model available, just enough to check job listings and keep in touch with Sarah. Thursday afternoon brought a full house to the diner. My feet throbbed in the sensible black shoes that were part of my uniform, back aching from hours of carrying heavy trays. But each dollar in tips meant one step further from homelessness. "Order up for table 7, the cook shouted over the clatter of plates and conversation. I balanced the plates on my arm and turned toward the window section, then froze. Robert and Camilla sat at my station, his head bent close to hers, their hands intertwined on the table. He wore the blue shirt I'd given him last Christmas. She looked like a magazine cover in a white dress, diamonds glittering at her ears and wrist. My manager nudged me. "Table 7's waiting, Eliza." Legs wooden, heart racing, I approached their table. "Welcome to Darcy's," I managed, eyes fixed on the water pitcher as I filled their glasses. "Can I start you with some drinks?" "Eliza?" Robert's voice held surprise and something like embarrassment. You work here." Camilla looked between us, perfectly shaped eyebrows rising. "Is this her? Your soon-to-be ex?" "The divorce isn't final yet," I said quietly, clutching my order pad like a shield. She laughed, the sound like tinkling crystal. "Just a technicality. The papers are filed." She touched her diamond bracelet, making sure I noticed. "Have you signed them yet?" "Robbie needs closure to fully move forward." "Robbie?" I'd never once called him that in 10 years together. "Can we get another server?" Robert asked my manager as she passed. "This situation is uncomfortable." "Sorry, sir, we're short-staffed today," my manager replied, giving me a sympathetic glance. I took their order mechanically, feeling Camilla's eyes evaluating every aspect of my appearance. The plain uniform, the sensible shoes, the lack of makeup or jewelry. Her lips curled in a small, satisfied smile. "So this is what became of Robert's first wife," she said when I returned with their drinks. "From doctor's wife to serving tables. How humbling." My face burned as nearby diners glanced our way. "I've always worked," I said quietly. "I supported us while Robert was in medical school." "Oh, honey," Camilla laughed, patting Robert's hand possessively. "No need for face-saving stories." Robert explained how you never matched his drive or ambition. Robert studied his menu intently, saying nothing to contradict her or defend our years together. "Some women are just born to shine," Camilla continued, tossing her perfect blonde hair, "and others to stand in the shadows. At least you found your level." I somehow made it through serving their meal, each trip to their table another exercise in swallowing my pride. When they finally stood to leave, Camilla, accidentally, knocked over her full water glass, soaking the table and floor. "Oops," she said with a smile that never reached her eyes. Something for you to clean up. That night, alone in my tiny apartment with its secondhand furniture and thin walls, I made the mistake of checking Instagram. Robert had posted a photo, him kissing Camilla in front of a sprawling brick house with manicured gardens. Home, sweet home with my love. Blessed nar new beginnings. The caption read, comments flooded in from friends and family. You two are perfect together. What a gorgeous home. So happy for you both. Even Robert's mother had liked it. The same woman who once called me daughter. The pain was too much to bear alone. I found Sarah on our building's shared balcony, watching the sunset with her ancient cat in her lap. Yeah, I saw them today, I choked out, tears flowing again, at the diner. She humiliated me in front of everyone, called me his charity case, and he just sat there, saying nothing. Sarah set her cat aside and took my trembling hands. Let me share something that saved my sanity. You get 1 cry per day. What? 1 good cry. 15 minutes by the clock. Sob, wail, scream into a pillow, whatever you need. Then you're done until tomorrow. That's impossible, I protested through tears. Try it, she said, setting her kitchen timer. 15 minutes. Let it all out. I did. I cried for my lost marriage, my stolen money, my abandoned dreams, and my public humiliation. When the timer rang, Sarah handed me a tissue. Now we have tea and talk about tomorrow, not yesterday, she said firmly. I can't just turn off my feelings. No one can. But you can decide how long they get to drive the car. She led me inside, where she added a splash of whiskey to our tea. Tell me one thing you'll do tomorrow that has nothing to do with Robert or his diamond-draped girlfriend. I thought for a moment. I'll check if the community college has any design classes for fall. Good. That's how you rebuild, not by looking at what he took, but by reclaiming what you let go. Table 9 needs more coffee, Judy called as I balanced breakfast orders on my tray. Coming right after this delivery, I answered, hurrying toward a family with hungry children. 3 weeks at Darcy's had given me a routine, if not satisfaction. The Sunday brunch rush kept me too busy to think, a blessing after nights alone with my thoughts in my empty apartment. As I set down the last plate at my current table, a voice called from behind. Eliza? Eliza Walker? Is that really you? I turned to see a man with kind eyes and touches of silver at his temples. Recognition dawned slowly. Michael Davis, from State University. I knew it was you. His smile was genuine, warming something long cold inside me. It's been, 12 years? At least. I suddenly felt conscious of my waitress uniform with its small coffee stain. Michael had been the star of our design program, always encouraging other students. Are you free when your shift ends? We could catch up? I hesitated, glancing at my reflection in a nearby mirror. Tired eyes, hair hastily pulled back, no makeup. I finish at 3. I'll wait. No pressure, just coffee between old friends. To my surprise, he did wait, working on his laptop through the lunch rush, occasionally catching my eye with a smile. When my shift ended, I removed my apron, ran a quick comb through my hair, and joined him at his corner table. So, he began as I sat down. Last I heard, you were married to a medical student, Robert Walker. That chapter just ended, I said simply, not wanting to burden him with my sob story. What about you? What brings you to our little diner? I run Davis Designs downtown, residential architecture firm. Had a client meeting nearby. He studied me. It's really good to see you, Eliza. You were always the most talented designer in our program. I nearly choked on my coffee. That was a lifetime ago. I still remember that community center redesign you did junior year. The way you transformed that sterile space into something warm and welcoming. Pure genius. You remember that? I was genuinely surprised. Of course. Everyone knew you were headed for greatness after you won that scholarship to the Design Institute. The mention of the scholarship made my chest tighten. Life took a different turn. What happened? You were so excited that day, running down the dorm hallway with your acceptance letter. I stared into my coffee. Robert got into medical school the same week. We couldn't both be students. Someone had to pay the bills. Michael's expression darkened. And now I'm starting over at 34 with half a degree and a waitress uniform. I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. It's never too late to find your path again, he said gently. Especially not for someone with your natural talent. I don't even know if I still have talent. It's been so long since I designed anything. Michael wrote something on the back of his business card. Here's my cell. The firm always needs fresh perspectives. Or just call if you want coffee with an old friend who remembers who you were before life got complicated. Walking home in the afternoon sunshine, I felt a lightness I hadn't experienced in months. Michael had spoken to me like a person with value and potential, not as Robert's leftover or Camilla's inferior. Sarah was watching her soap operas when I returned, her cat purring contentedly in her lap. You're smiling, she observed, muting the TV. First time I've seen that. I ran into someone from college, I explained, showing her Michael's card. He remembered me from before everything. See? The universe has perfect timing, she said. What did you love before that husband became your whole world? Design. Interiors. Making spaces speak to the people who use them. I looked around Sarah's cluttered living room with fresh eyes. Like this room, it has great bones, but the furniture blocks the natural flow. If you moved the sofa there and created a conversation area with the chairs. I stopped, embarrassed by my presumption, but Sarah was watching with interest. Go on, she encouraged. What else? The bookshelf overwhelms that corner. If you divided the books between smaller shelves on either side of the window, it would balance everything. Sarah nodded toward Michael's card. Maybe it's time to remember who you were before becoming Mrs. Walker. That night, I couldn't sleep. Who was I before Robert? What had I wanted for myself? I found myself sketching on the back of a receipt, a simple redesign for Sarah's living room. My hand moved with surprising confidence, muscle memory returning from years dormant. The next morning, I showed Sarah my sketch. Could you really make my place look like this? She asked, examining the drawing. With some rearranging and fresh paint, absolutely. Let's do it, she declared. Do it. I'll buy supplies if you'll direct the project. For the next week, evenings were filled with painting, rearranging, and rediscovering treasures in Sarah's closets. A beautiful quilt that became a wall hanging, vintage photographs grouped into a gallery display, ceramic vases adding color to newly positioned shelves. When we finished, the transformation was remarkable. The same furniture in a thoughtful arrangement made the room feel spacious and welcoming. The colors brightened the space, and personal touches told Sarah's story in a way her previous cluttered arrangement never had. It's beautiful, she whispered, turning slowly to take it all in. It feels like me, but better. That's what good design does, I said, surprising myself with the confidence in my voice. It doesn't change who you are. It helps you express it better. For the first time since Robert's betrayal, I felt something stir inside me. Not happiness yet, but possibility. I might have lost my husband, my home, and my savings, but perhaps I hadn't lost myself completely. That night, I looked at Michael's card for a long moment before dialing. When his voice answered, I took a deep breath. It's Eliza. I think I might be ready to talk design again. I have a proposition for you, Michael said over coffee at his office a week later. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating architectural drawings spread across his desk. My heart skipped. What kind of proposition? The Westside Community Foundation is hosting their annual fundraiser next month. The venue is gorgeous but feels cold. They need someone with vision to transform it. He smiled. I recommended you. Me, but I don't have a business or credentials anymore. You have talent, Eliza. I showed them photos of Sarah's living room transformation. He slid a folder across the desk. The budget is modest but fair. You'd be working under my firm's umbrella for now. I opened the folder with trembling hands. The opportunity felt surreal, like a door to my old self opening after years locked shut. And what if I fail? You won't. His confidence warmed me. But if you're worried, I'll help. Partners. 50-50. That word, partners, stood in stark contrast to my marriage where I'd always been the supporter, never the supported. When would we start? Today, if you're ready. I gave notice at Darcy's that afternoon, my manager hugging me goodbye. Always knew you were meant for better things, honey. The following weeks blurred into a whirlwind of fabric samples, paint swatches, and furniture catalogs. Michael provided space in his office, introducing me to suppliers who remembered my college projects. My confidence grew with each decision, each sketch, each problem solved. The night before the event, we worked late finalizing details. The ballroom had transformed from a sterile space to an enchanted garden with strategic lighting, living walls, and conversation areas that encouraged mingling. It's beautiful, Michael whispered, standing beside me. You're beautiful. Before I could respond, his phone rang. The client wants a last-minute walkthrough, he said after answering. They'll be here in 15 minutes. No problem. We're ready. When the elevator doors opened, my blood froze. Camilla Harrington strode into our transformed space, followed by 2 foundation board members. Michael, darling, she air-kissed his cheeks. The space looks promising, but I need to be sure it's perfect. Daddy's company is the main sponsor, and everyone who matters will attend. She hadn't noticed me yet, standing partially hidden behind a floral arrangement. Michael's eyes met mine in panic. Actually, Camilla? The design vision belongs to my colleague. He gestured toward me. Eliza Walker. Camilla turned, recognition dawning with a flash of shock quickly masked by disdain. Well, isn't this quaint, Robert's little waitress playing decorator? The board members glanced between us, sensing tension. I stepped forward, professionalism my shield. Would you like a tour of the features we've incorporated based on your foundation's mission? For the next 30 minutes, I guided them through the space, explaining each design choice. The board members asked thoughtful questions while Camilla struggled to find fault. The lighting is too dim here, she finally declared, pointing to a corner. Actually, I responded, that area is designed for quiet conversations between potential donors. The intimate lighting encourages deeper connection and, statistically, larger donations. One board member nodded appreciatively. Brilliant psychology. Harrington Pharmaceuticals could learn from this attention to human behavior. Camilla's smile tightened. When they left, Michael squeezed my shoulder. You were magnificent. I was terrified, I admitted. But something strange happened. I stopped caring what she thought. Her opinion doesn't define my work. Sarah was waiting when I returned home, eager for details. When I described the confrontation with Camilla, she clapped her hands in delight. That's the first step to reclaiming your power, realizing other people's judgments are about them, not you. Robert always said my design ideas were impractical fantasies. I sank onto the couch. For years, I believed him. Men like him need to diminish others to feel big, Sarah said, bringing me tea. Your light was too bright, so he tried to dim it. Why didn't I see it? Because love blinds us to cruelty when it comes in small doses. She took my hand. But here's the truth. You weren't put on this earth to make yourself smaller for someone else's comfort. Those words settled into my bones. I'd spent a decade shrinking myself to fit Robert's expectations. No more. The fundraiser was a triumph. Guests raved about the space, many asking for my business card. By evening's end, I had 3 potential clients. Told you. Michael grinned as we packed up. This is just the beginning, Eliza. On my desk the next morning, an elegant card with a handwritten note. Your talent deserves a proper showcase. Office 12B is empty. It's yours if you want it. Michael. My new office overlooked downtown, smaller than Michael's but sun-filled and mine. A hand-painted sign hung on the door. Eliza Walker Designs. Each morning, touching those words felt like greeting a long-lost friend. 3 months of projects had brought steady income and growing confidence. I'd hired an assistant, created a simple website, and started building a portfolio of before and after transformations. One rainy Tuesday, a package arrived from Robert's mother, a woman I'd once called Mom but hadn't heard from since the divorce. Inside, a shoebox filled with photos and a letter. Dear Eliza, cleaning my attic. I found these. They belong with you. I'm sorry for my silence. Robert told us things that didn't ring true, but family loyalty kept me quiet. I was wrong. These might explain some things. With regret, Margaret Walker. The photos spanned years, not just our marriage, but before. And there, in images dated during our 7th year together, was Robert with Camilla at a medical conference. Their body language unmistakable. This wasn't new. There were dozens more spanning 3 years. My hands shook as understanding dawned. The late nights he'd claimed were hospital shifts. The weekends at medical conferences. The mysterious charges on our credit card that he'd explained away. Another envelope contained medical school transcripts. Notes in his mother's handwriting explained what I'd never known. Robert had nearly failed out twice. The only reason he'd graduated was a paper on innovative treatment protocols. Ideas I'd helped him develop during late-night conversations about his challenging cases. My ideas, my research, my support. The office door opened as Michael returned from a client meeting. He found me surrounded by scattered photos, tears streaming down my face. Eliza, what happened? I handed him the evidence of Robert's years-long betrayal. She wasn't new. She was always there, waiting. And his career. My voice broke. He took my ideas and claimed them as his own. Michael sat beside me, examining the photos and notes. I'm not surprised, he said quietly. About the work. What do you mean? Remember that hospital redesign competition junior year? Your concept for patient-centered room layouts? Vaguely, I didn't win. Because Robert submitted your exact design under his name for a medical school project. He won an innovation award. The revelation hit like a physical blow. How do you know this? Michael's gaze dropped to his hands. Because I've watched your career since college. Eliza, I subscribed to medical journals looking for your design concepts, thinking you were collaborating with Robert. He looked up, eyes sincere. I always admired you, your talent, your kindness, your vision, not just as a designer, but as a person. You followed my career, even when I wasn't designing. I kept track, hoped someday you'd return to it. A flush colored his cheeks. I had a massive crush on you in college, but you only had eyes for Robert. When I heard you'd married him, I figured that was it. The confession hung between us, unexpected and touching. For years, I'd believed my only value was as Robert's support system. Now I was discovering that others had seen me clearly all along. Why didn't you tell me this before? You were healing. I didn't want to add complications. He smiled gently. Besides, I was happy just having you back in the design world where you belong. That night, I sat on my apartment balcony watching the city lights, processing everything. The betrayal went deeper than I'd imagined, but strangely, the pain felt distant. Something was replacing it. Anger, yes, but also determination. For years, I'd been passenger in my own life. Now I was grabbing the wheel. The next morning, I arrived at the office early with fresh coffee and pastries. When Michael appeared, I was waiting. "I've been thinking about what you said, about watching my career." I took a deep breath. "Thank you for seeing value in me when I couldn't see it myself." "Anyone with eyes could see it, Eliza. Not me. Not for a long time." I straightened my shoulders. "But that ends now. I'm done being defined by Robert's betrayal. I'm ready to be defined by my own success." Michael's smile reached his eyes. Now that sounds like the Eliza Walker I remember. 6 months transformed everything. My client list grew from local homeowners to boutique businesses wanting distinctive spaces. A magazine feature on the community center renovation brought attention from developers. I hired 2 more designers and moved to larger offices. Success felt like breathing after years underwater. Natural, necessary, invigorating. Sarah beamed with pride at my company's small launch party. "Look at you now," she whispered, squeezing my hand. "From that heartbroken girl in the hotel to this powerful woman." "I couldn't have done it without you," I said, meaning every word. "Nonsense. You had it in you all along. You just needed to remember." The phone call came on a Thursday afternoon. I almost didn't answer the unknown number. "Eliza Walker Designs." I answered professionally. "Eliza." Robert's voice, smaller than I remembered. "I need to see you." My heart stuttered, but not from longing, from surprise at my own calm. "Why?" "Things are complicated. Please, coffee. Tomorrow." Curiosity won over caution. We met at a cafe near my office. Neutral territory. He looked diminished somehow. Expensive clothes, but tired eyes, hair graying at the temples. "You look different," he said after ordering. "Good different." "I am different." I studied him without the rose-colored glasses of the past. "What's this about, Robert?" He twisted his coffee cup nervously. "Camilla left me." A statement that once would have sparked hope now barely registered. "And I'm sorry to hear that." "Her family's pharmaceutical company is facing bankruptcy. Turned out the fortune was mostly debt and appearances." He leaned forward. "She left when the money dried up." "Like you left me when someone wealthier appeared." The irony wasn't lost on me. He flinched. "I deserve that. But Eliza, losing you was the biggest mistake of my life. I see that now." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I want another chance." We had 10 years together. That means something. I studied him carefully. "Are you in financial trouble, Robert?" His hesitation told me everything. "The house has been foreclosed. The hospital is investigating some of my research claims. The ones based on my ideas." His surprise confirmed what his mother's package had revealed. "How did you—" "It doesn't matter." I gathered my purse, ready to leave. "I can't help you, Robert." "Wait." His hand caught mine. "I'm not asking for money. I'm asking for you. I never stopped loving you." The words that once would have melted my resolve now rang hollow. "No, Robert. You never started loving me. You loved what I provided. Support, ideas, stability. When something shinier appeared, you discarded me without a thought. That's not fair." Neither was throwing me out in the rain on our anniversary. Years of unspoken pain surfaced. Neither was emptying our bank account of money I earned. Neither was letting your girlfriend humiliate me at my waitressing job. His face paled. "I didn't know she did that. You were sitting right there." My voice rose. You watched and said nothing. Just like you watched me sacrifice my career for yours and said nothing. Just like you used my research ideas without credit and said nothing. I'm sorry, Eliza. I truly am. Tears filled his eyes. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. No, you didn't realize what you had until what replaced me disappeared. I stood, surprising myself with my steadiness. That's not love, Robert. That's convenience. Outside, rain fell gently, so different from the downpour the night he'd thrown me out. I stood under the cafe awning, breathing deeply, feeling strangely light. My phone buzzed with a text from Michael. Major potential client coming tomorrow. Could use your magic touch with the presentation. I smiled, typing back, on my way. Some storms are worth weathering together. 2 weeks later, headlines in the local business section announced Harrington Pharmaceuticals' bankruptcy filing. A smaller article noted Dr. Robert Walker's suspension pending investigation into research improprieties. I felt no satisfaction, only closure. The chapter was finally ending. The doorbell rang early on a Saturday morning. I'd been up for hours, coffee in hand, sketching ideas for Sarah's surprise home renovation, my gift for her upcoming birthday. Robert stood on my doorstep, unshaven and wearing wrinkled clothes. The sight no longer stirred any emotion except mild pity. You haven't returned my calls, he said, pushing past me into my apartment. Because I have nothing more to say? I left the door open, a clear message. I've lost everything, Eliza. My job, my house, my reputation. His voice cracked. You're all I have left. I'm not yours, Robert. I never really was. He paced my living room, examining the tasteful furnishings, the framed magazine feature on my wall, evidence of the success I'd built without him. We could start over, he pleaded. I know I hurt you, but people deserve second chances. Some do. But reconciliation requires more than convenience or necessity. I stood firm. I don't hate you anymore, if that helps. I've moved beyond that. How can you be so cold? 10 years together means nothing. It meant everything to me. That's why it hurt so much when you discarded it. I sighed. I've forgiven you, Robert. Not for you, but for me. Carrying that pain was exhausting. Forgiveness means taking me back. No, it doesn't. It means I release the debt of pain you owe me. But it doesn't obligate me to risk my heart again. He sank onto my couch, defeat in every line of his body. What am I supposed to do now? For the first time, I felt genuine compassion without attachment. Start over. Build something real this time. Something based on who you actually are, not who you pretend to be. When he left, I felt no regret, no second guessing, only peace. Sarah's birthday renovation became my company's showcase project. We expanded her small apartment, knocking through to the vacant unit next door that I'd secretly purchased. The reveal brought tears to her eyes. This is too much, she whispered, wandering through rooms designed specifically for her needs and joys, a sunlit reading nook, an expanded kitchen for her baking, a guest room for her sister's visits. You gave me shelter when I had nothing, I said, emotion thickening my voice. You taught me to value myself when I'd forgotten how. This isn't charity. It's gratitude. Later that evening, Sarah cornered Michael at the housewarming party. I overheard her whisper, "Don't wait too long to tell her how you feel. Life's shorter than we think." That night, walking home through autumn leaves, Michael took my hand. "Sarah's not very subtle," he said with a nervous laugh. "She means well." I didn't pull my hand away. "Eliza, I need to say something." He stopped under a streetlight. "I've respected your healing process, your need for independence, but I'd like to be more than your business partner and friend. If you're ready, The warmth of his hand in mine felt right, not desperate or demanding, just present and real. "I'm scared," I admitted. "The last time I trusted someone with my heart. I know, and I'd never ask you to rush." His eyes held mine. "But I also don't want to waste time pretending I don't care deeply for you." "Then don't." I leaned forward and kissed him softly. No pretending, no rushing, just us, seeing where this goes. 1 year to the day after Robert had thrown me out, I drove to our old neighborhood. The house looked smaller than I remembered, its garden overgrown since the foreclosure. I didn't feel sadness or longing, only appreciation for the journey. Each painful step had led me here, successful in my own right, loved for who I truly was, finally comfortable in my own skin. As I turned to leave, a young couple emerged from the house, new owners starting their story where mine had ended. "Good luck," I whispered, not to them, but to the universe. Driving away, I called Michael. "I'm thinking of expanding the business, maybe a line of furniture designed for real people's lives." "I love it," he answered. "You want to discuss it over dinner?" "Yes," I said, smiling at the road ahead. "I have a feeling this is going to be beautiful." If my experience touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of women like me who found their power after betrayal. Did someone like my Sarah help you when you needed it most? I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Don't miss another inspiring journey appearing on your screen now.